And as you look at your life, how many times when you stopped, when you know you should have just taken one more step? The power of one more step, the power of persistence and being patient to understand that it's very easy to quit. It's very easy to stop right now. In 1 second, you can stop, but it's hard to carry forward. All right, if you are tired of not feeling fit, tired of not being focused, tired of not having the financial wherewithal that you deserve to have, just tired of not having great relationships or not feeling fulfilled in your life, this is your place to be. This is the Live 100 podcast. I'm Jason Yarusi. This is where you come to break bad habits so you can build the momentum to magnify the success that each of us deserve to have. Today, we're talking about the power of persistent patience, and I want to talk you through one of the evolutions of a virtual 100-mile race I ran. And so this is during COVID. The race got canceled. It was going to be up in Canada, and it was a 100-mile race that I was looking forward to because it was during very cold months. And so it was going to be one of these freezing cold runs that was going to test my mind, my body, and just my overall fitness, right? So instead of being able to go up to that run because it was canceled here, I was in New Jersey at the time, and there was the opportunity that they put together a virtual run. Not the same thing, however, a virtual run. And with that, I had to figure out my own route, right? So I had to figure out, how to run 100 miles in New Jersey, right? So you think about, all the logistics, and you forget sometimes the back end of what's prepared for you to use, right? And you can think of anything, right, where we get frustrated, right? We get frustrated with certain things when we have, GPS taking us on a route, or we have a phone that we're texting on, the text doesn't go through right away, or just, you have some kind of order you put through and the order gets messed up, right? All the back end logistics. Well, I had to do the back end logistics of creating this race, right? So I had to prepare of, how do I put together a route that allows me to run 100 miles? So I came up with a route that I was doing 4 25-mile circles. And each time I would end up back at my house in New Jersey after the 25-minute cycle. And along the way, I had actually stored and stocked out a couple different bags of food. And a couple of things I would run. I get a protein bar, and also have this point where my wife makes these protein pancakes, and she would put peanut butter and honey on those protein pancakes. So I would use those as my little stops along the way, my little aid stations that I had built into this run. So I started out in the journey, and I gave the offering out to a number of friends, just people in my network. Hey, listen, you want to come run? I'm going to do 100 miles this day, but you're welcome to come run any part of the journey. So I had a couple of people started with me. I think I started at 4 or 5 a.m. I forget in the moment, but at that part, I had 2 people started there, and people just joined me throughout the day. And what I found there is that, you get caught off guard with a lot of things in life. And for many of us, if you're not in the right mindset to be prepared, to be constantly preparing yourself for what could potentially come up in front of us, we get so side blinded that it just takes us off course and we never recover. And many times in life, it's some just absolutely never recover. Or it takes you weeks to recover, or it could take you months or days or just even minutes. But if we can look at part of our life of what we do each and every day, how we can condition our mind and condition our body to be ready for when challenges come up, it allows us to stay focused on the task at hand. Throughout that day, I had many challenges, right? It got really hot, surprisingly, when I was running out there, right? So again, I was overdressed for what it was. And so my body was overheating for where it was. I didn't have enough food across the pattern, right? So I was constantly running in deficit. I think over the course of that run, it tracked that I had burned about 18,000 calories, of course, that day. So if you look at that, just the number of calories and just thousands and thousands, I think like 80,000 steps that day. So my body was constantly in deficit. So I had the heat, and I didn't have enough food, didn't have enough energy. And so I had to go back in my mind is that I had prepared for this. Many races, many marathons, I bring no food. I don't take a drink. I just run through it, right? And so I had conditioned to this part to be ready for when these obstacles come up. I didn't push myself to be in this place, right? I didn't choose to not be prepared in the way that made sense, but it's what came up. And so I had to continue to condition my mind, because I could have said, oh, you know what? I'm too hot. I might as well stop. Or I don't have enough food, so I might as well stop, right? And so many times in life, when something comes up you're not prepared for, right? You stop and you say, you know what? It just wasn't meant to be. Or better probably for somebody else. Or that other person was lucky. No, we weren't be prepared. We weren't prepared mentally to go in there and say, I will get through this. And this is just a test. And this is just a moment of discovery within myself. And as you look at your life, how many times when you stopped, when you know you should have just taken one more step? The power of one more step, the power of persistence and being patient to understand that it's very easy to quit. It's very easy to stop right now. In 1 second, you can stop, but it's hard to carry forward, hard to be persistently patient with the results that will come if you continue to just go down the path on the journey that you started out on. So I ask you today, are you ready to carry on? Are you ready for the results? Are you tired of being impatient with not having the results because you keep stopping? So as I ran that race, I ran the first 25-mile route, got back, and of course, just changed real quick, got into the right clothes. Fine. Grabbed a little bit more food, right? Good. Ran the next 25 miles. And at this part, I had a couple more people. So I had about 8 or 9 people show up, of course, over the day. And then the third one, right? Now I'm running the third 25 miles. A couple of people stop. And, what was magical about that day is that I ran 100 miles. Okay, cool. I had done it before. But I had someone who had never run more than 3 miles, run 10 miles. Another one who had run 5 miles, ran 15 miles. Another one who had run 10 miles, ran a marathon. Another one who had run a marathon, ran 37 miles. All these people pushed outside their boundaries because they came committed to a task. And then they were opened up to the experience of doing more than their mind had ever thought. So as you surround yourself on the journey along with people that are out there pushing the barriers of what's possible, you too will push beyond your comfort level to achieve results that you never thought you could. So as I got to that last 25-mile route, what happened here is that it got real late. It was nighttime. It was dark, and people, they went home. They went apart to get home to their kids. They've been out there with me for the majority of the day, right? And here I am running the last route. And what I didn't account for is that one of these parts here, again, it was through a park. And with the change of temperatures, and again, I think I said I burned about 18,000 calories. It got cold, right? So you think just a small change in temperature when your body is so depleted over the day, you start freezing. So I'm running, I think I'm 12 to 14 miles in, and I'm in the park. What I didn't realize is that at some part, because I'd never been in the park at 2 in the morning, right? 3 in the morning, whatever it was, the park was locked. So I got stuck in the park in the middle of the night here and had to, again, alter my course. Now, lo and behold, I'm freezing. My hands are freezing. I don't have the gloves. My feet are freezing, right? I'm depleted in my body. And it could have been like, woe's me. Let me just, call it in and get there. But I had come to finish 100 miles. And I wasn't going to stop because another roadblock got in front of me. I wasn't going to just call it in and just say, you know what? I did 96 miles. That's good enough. I figured out a way to find myself to a fence. And again, I had these ice blocks as hands, right? These icicles as feet. And I was able to scale this fence, which probably if you were out there looking at me looked crazy, right? Because I was trying to almost clobber myself and just it almost was like I had mittens trying to climb this fence. I finally throw myself over the fence. I get down and part. My legs are barely working because they're so tired from this point here. And I just carried on. And lo and behold, another 3-4 miles down, I find myself at the end of 100 miles. Accomplished because I continued to push forward and push through the times when it would have taken 1 second for me to stop, 1 second to call it quits. How many of you out there are calling it quits too easily? How many of you are stopping prematurely? How many of you are stopping just as it starts to get tough, right? Because you're not testing yourself when you can and will push forward and get to the other side of it. We always want the easy, but it's the hard for which we grow through. It's the tough times for which we go through that build us into the people that we deserve to become. So now is your time to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm ready. I'm ready to carry on through the challenges. I'm ready to carry forward through the pain, through the struggle, because the opportunity is going to be so rewarding. So I got back. I got through that 100 miles, got in. My wife was there. She congratulated me, went inside. And, it's hard to come down, just from a second of racing to go to sleep. So I stayed up for a few hours. And the next day, just got up and took the kids to soccer. Because life is a series of you being on a path to your goals, but the goals are not your stopping point where you can go and just say, oh, I did it, right? Because the next day comes and it's ready for you to go out there and face challenges and embrace new opportunities for you to discover what you're made of. The Live 100 podcast is about you finding your internal warrior of what you can do to take action to control your destiny and build the future that you deserve to have. The road is not going to be straight. It is not going to be easy. Many times you're going to be walking through deserts mentally, walking through Antarctica mentally, but you're going to make it because you've come here to learn the lessons it takes to be your best self and to live your life at 100. That's what we do here. So if there's anything that served you on this podcast, go out and share this with someone else that needs to hear this message today. Go out and share this with someone else who needs to break through barriers that have been stopping them for months, for years, for decades. Go down there and give us a rating, honest, and review. We look and read each and every one of them. Can't thank you enough for helping the show grow to meet more people that need to live 100 in their life. Let's do this.